Georgia O'Keeffe by Kylie Guzman. Georgia O'Keeffe was born on a farm in Wisconsin in 1887. It was by the age of 12 where she knew she wanted to be an artist. She always held an interest in nature, and while living on the farm, she was able to observe and practice her skills in paintings. It was after her mom insisted that she took lessons when Georgia O'Keeffe's real talent came out. During her school years, she studied at the Art Institute of Chicago in 1905 and later the Art Students League in New York from 1907 to 1908. She was mentored by Williams Merritt Chase, Louis Mora, and Kenyon Cass. It was from them where she learned about traditional realist painting techniques. In 1912, her interests dramatically changed after attending a class by Arthur Wesley Dow at Columbia University. Dow had such a major influence on Georgia O'Keeffe that she dramatically changed her views on realism. It was through his teaching that she spent 2 years of her life practicing her skills in order for her to express her inner thoughts and ideas. It was in 1915 where she created a series of charcoal abstract drawings when she became the first American artist to use pure abstraction. It was later the next year where her art was first featured in an exhibit after her friend showed it to a dealer by the name Alfred Stieglitz, who would later become her husband. It was by the mid-1920s when O'Keeffe was recognized as one of America's most important and successful artists. Known for her paintings of the New York skyscrapers as well as flowers, it was through these series of paintings that O'Keeffe established her standing in the artist world. Her paintings of the New York night transferred the skyscrapers into patterned glittering structures which denied their values and emphasized the modernity of the American world. Critics claimed that her paintings of the skyscrapers were that similar of her paintings from previous years such as Lake George Barns and Rancho Church Taos. Though O'Keeffe adamantly claimed that her floral painting held no symbolic value, critics continue to speculate that it represented sexual imagery and women empowerment. Georgia O'Keeffe, Dramatic Change and Inspiration. The New Mexico Years. 1929 marked the year when Georgia O'Keeffe began her frequent visits to New Mexico, a place that totally inspired her to totally change her artistic themes. Most of her artworks during these years featured Spanish architect, desert terrain, and animal sculpts. Her reason for painting skulls was because she claimed that they were symbols of the desert and nothing more. As quoted, "To me they are strangely more living than the animals walking around, hair, eyes and all, with their tails switching." The dried animal bones and wooden crucifix of the region which loomed in her desert were disquieting apparitions. It was after 2 decades of traveling back and forth to New Mexico she made the state her permanent home in 1949. It was the year of 1929 where O'Keeffe started her frequent visits to New Mexico, a place that totally inspired her to change her artistic themes. Most of her artwork from this time featured Spanish architect, desert terrain, and skulls, which was a dramatic change from her urban choice of paintings. O'Keeffe claimed that she painted skulls because she believed that they were symbols of the desert. She once quoted that, "To me, they are strangely more living than animals walking around, hair, eyes, and all, with their tails switching." It was in 1949, after 2 decades of traveling back and forth from New York to New Mexico, where she made the state her permanent home. In 1945, O'Keeffe bought an old adobe home in New Mexico after the death of her husband in 1946. The house served as a frequent subject in her paintings, to being Black Patio Door, which was painted in 1955, and Patio with Clouds, which was painted in 1956, which featured details of the doors, windows, and walls of her home. It was in the 1950s when O'Keeffe created a series of paintings based on her international travelings in Peru and Japan. It was by 74 O'Keeffe changed her interest to painting rivers, skies, and clouds. Towards her last years, she began to suffer from degeneration and losing of her eyesight, and created her last unassisted painting in 1972. Even after losing her eyesight, she enlisted the help of several assistants to help create several artworks, which she helped describe from her innermost thoughts. It was in March 6, 1986, at the age of 98, when she passed away. Even though O'Keeffe's paintings of the 1960s was that of a dramatic change from her desert terrain to that of skies, rivers, which was inspired by her international travels from Peru to Japan, these paintings still showed her romantic feelings for nature. Her painting, it was Blue and Green, which was painted in 1906, used a painting technique that was less reliant on sharp contours as seen in her previous nature paintings from New Mexico.